introduce me here today. Mr. Larry Way, you do the PR and promotions and celebrity handling for Autorama World of Wheels.
For most of the shows, yes, I do.
Most of the shows.
And I'm live a blessed life because I'm a car guy, and what a great industry to work in.
Yeah, we were kind of going over some things before, and you kind of shocked me before that you're not from here. You're from Canada.
Yes. So I'm on the board of directors of the Canadian company, so I'm part of the company.
You're part of the company, and I don't think a lot of people around here in the States know that, but you have a whole Canada division that you do a tour with.
Yes, I mean I run my own shows in the summer, but it's not like this. They're outdoor shows, and we do things for charity, and I try to do what I can. To give back. And people say, "Do you make any money at that?" I said, "No, that's not what it's about. It's about helping charities."
Of course it is, and little background history. How long have you been with the Autorama?
I've been with them probably 35 to 40 years. I started as a judge.
Okay.
We had a show in the city I live in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, which I became the judging supervisor, ended up managing the show for 14 years. And it was a great experience while still working a full-time government job, plus working with car shows. So I've worked 7 days a week pretty much my whole life. I'm 71 years old and I'm still going strong, and I'm going to go forever.
And you love it every minute.
I love every minute. I get to meet you. I mean, it's like we've known each other for years.
I just said we've only, they just introduced us today, and we started talking. I said, it makes me seem like you're one of my dad's old Howard.
But we're alike because we meet someone that with a shared interest and we're comfortable with them.
Yeah, and it's evil. We do a lot of things that people don't do these days. We still talk to each other and get to know each other a little bit.
I mean, it was say, could you give that person a call, send them a text?
Yeah, or when they're right next to each other. When they're right next to each other
in a restaurant, I just shake my head. But there are families that I know, and the family of four sit down and they put their phones on the table away from the phones.
We're getting more and more of that. I'm raised old school, Corey. Everybody knows I'll be 50 years old this year, but it's like we never had that. We had one phone hanging on the wall,
right?
And then of course you get into business, and these things here, they'll take you down because the next thing you know, you're taken away from your kids because you're reading. They made it so easy for us, emails, banks, so you're on the thing all the time.
Yeah. So you can do everything.
Yeah. So we're getting better at that too at home, kind of taking time to,
Congrats. As it should be.
So one big thing I noticed now that we're here in Kansas, we're from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We've been to a lot of them in Chicago. I've been all over the place. One of the biggest things that I noticed down here in Kansas, what are we looking for? What can you always see when you get down here?
Well, first off, if you're a judge, this place is a nightmare because it's so long. I mean, it's a quarter-mile long. So if you're judging a class and you got two cars here and two cars at the other end, oh my goodness, you're just walking and walking and walking. But it's such a cross section. We have a lot of late model muscle cars. We have a lot of restored muscle cars, hot rods, motorcycles, race cars, a lot of low riders. Just a little bit of everything. It's a real cross section of a lot of 4x4s, a lot of lifted trucks.
I did see a lot of the across the board. Correct me if I'm wrong. Any of our fans or followers here, the Southern style trucks now.
Right.
One of the big shows we watch on Motor Trend is the Texas Metal trucks.
Right.
These trucks are unbelievable. There's a number of these trucks here.
Right. There are, and at night you see them coming down the road, and they're all lit up underneath. They're really cool, actually.
They're really cool. We grew up in a different area.
Exactly
we grew up. I mean, I got a lot of friends that are from the Monster Truck Hall of Fame, so we grew up with big 44-inch groundhog mudders, and we went mudding. These trucks, okay, they don't take them off the road and do whatever. But I tell you what, love them or hate them, they're really impressive.
They got a lot of money invested, but everybody does. Whether you've got a 60s muscle car, you've got a hot rod, whatever it is, you've got a lot of money in the time and money in these things. And
there's very few of these cars that are left that don't cost as much as a starter home did when we were growing up.
That's exactly right. Exactly right.
And we see some. I mean, I'm looking at a sea of lowriders across here. And you just said. This is a huge Hispanic area, right?
So it is. When you take, like them or not, these cars are impressive. I mean, the work,
it hands down is beautiful.
And it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's one of those lifted trucks, a 32 Ford hot rod, a 67 Camaro, restored Camaro. I mean, they're all beautiful, but you got to give everybody credit. Even though you may like hot rods, you may like restored cars, you may like low ride, it doesn't matter.
Everybody's
take
got
a look
their
at them all.
Yeah.
We all have our preferences, but some of these low riders, the paint and the engraving, oh my goodness.
I mean, we're over here and I'm looking. We'll show you some pictures, everybody. But I'm looking at that beautiful rib over there, right next to that caddy, and I mean that thing is paint shop is unbelievable. It's just it just takes you away on the thing.
So they have and they have lowrider competitions where they have the dancers. The cars will dance and hop, and it's great fun. I worked a show in Louisville, Kentucky, which I co-managed for a number of years, and we had lowrider nationals there. And Saturday night they'd be jumping these things about, and a line would blow and it would catch on fire, and the crowd would go crazy. And it was it's great fun.
It's great fun to see.
It really is.
You know, we've got it up in Milwaukee. We've got a small area of this up here, not as much as here, obviously.
Yes.
But it's really neat to see, and I'm really impressed with their stuff. And it's great to see that they got the traditions. I remember everybody thinks of lowrider, you know, when you're going back in the day from our era, is Cheech and Chong, obviously, you know, back in the day and all this stuff, and it was so funny. But I really like to see a lot of these cars. Of course, you've got the new ones with the bigger wheels and stuff on it, but there's a lot of traditionals here that still run like a 13-inch Dayton or whatever on these things. I was so impressed when I see all these cars. I was like, wow, you know, it's fill out, you know, like a time capsule here.
Tommy Chung started his career as a musician. I don't know if you know that. He was in a band,
yeah.
And I have a collection of I think cars, motorcycles, and music all go hand in hand.
Of course.
And I have some autographed guitars, and I have a Tommy Chung autographed guitar.
Really?
Yeah, it's
really
pretty cool.
Was he ever a guest?
No. I bought it from a collector.
Bought it from a collector?
Yeah.
Okay.
One time I was in picking up Danielle from American Pickers.
Oh yeah.
We're in New Orleans, and I hear this voice, and I says, "That's got to be Cheech." And he's standing beside me. He's trying to get a cab, and he couldn't find a cab, and he's trying to get a limo. I said, "Well, we got a car. If you want to go with us." And he said, and I told him who I was waiting for. I says, "You should be along any minute." And he says, "I'll try once more. If not, I'll go with you." And I didn't see him again, but I thought, "Oh, he can jump in with us." And
that is so funny.
We always rent Suburbans. We would just drop them.
You just drop them where you had to go. You know, it's so funny. Like even Austin out there, a camera guy, when you get to meet celebrities in the weirdest spots. Sometimes we're in a great location. And I think when we first started our brand, he got to pick up, I believe it was like Horny Mike and all the other guys and Danny Coker, and our drivers were gone. He's supposed to be doing our audio and PR, and we're like, "Hey, Austin, you still got your vehicle?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "Go to the airport and pick these guys up." He was just like, he goes, "Of course I'm going to go," because he never got to meet him before.
Of course.
So we got to bring him all the way back, and he got those videos.
Those guys, Danny, Kevin, all those guys, they're wonderful, wonderful guys. I've worked with them a long time, and I know them very well, and they're great. They're fantastic.
Yeah, I got to say, hands down, you know, we always see everybody's on the internet, you know, everybody thinks, oh, it's on the internet, it must be true. Right. So everybody goes through their stuff, but they go through, and I've gotten the chance to work with those guys several times at our show, go out to their shop, talk with Mike and Ryan, and just an all-around great shop, great crew. I don't know if you ever got
very
to
talented. I've been to the shop a few times. Yeah, very, very talented people.
And you know, we see all these shows and people think, oh, it's staged and do whatever. I'm like, I tell everybody, I'm like, I have been to this shop. It is one of the most impressive shops I've ever seen in my life.
It sure is.
And you know, I've gotten off in Vegas and go to, you know, even when we're doing the Knievel thing we're doing here. And I'll text Tony Mike or Ryan and say, "Hey, you guys at the shop?" And I'll walk down because the hotel I stay is right there. And it'll be 11:30 at night. Those boys are still in the shop working, sanding on cars.
When they're shooting the show, they still had work to do. Ryan says, "Well, yeah, we're shooting till 5 o'clock." But Mike said, "We still got to get our job done, so we're working till midnight."
Yeah, and I will never forget. I had one guy tell me like, "Well, we went to the shop to go see Horny Mike, and he wasn't there." I said, "Because you work till 1 o'clock in the morning." They're like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know the guy." I said, "I don't call him at least till 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock my time to go to it because they work all night long. Plus, they do all this other stuff. So they are a great bunch of guys.
Yeah, they really are. They really are.
What is one of the most interesting characters you ever had for a celebrity?
Everybody's unique. I feel very blessed. I have a very good relationship with Henry Winkler. Henry and I have worked together for more than 20 years. If every few months, the warmest emails I've ever received are from him. And if I haven't seen him in a couple of months, he'll send me an email or I'll send him or we'll call. Yeah. So he's a wonderful guy, but we have so many characters. Horny Mike is a character. He's fun. He's a fun guy. He's a party guy. He plays hard. He works hard and he plays hard.
He is a character. And I must say, out of, been doing it a long time too, over 30 something years now, doing shows and everything with everybody else. But what I think is the best about Horny Mike, no matter what he's doing, no matter where he's at, because you can tell if one of the celebrities has got too much or they signed too many autographs and they just got to go and they don't want to do it. Horny Mike, no matter where I throw that guy, no matter where he's at, he will take the 5 minutes out. He can be arguing with somebody on the phone about something and just get all mad. And you just tell him and say, "Hey, Mike, this kid," and else, and he's like, "Hey, bud, what's going on?" And I mean, he just snaps.
You're exactly right. He's a great guy. He really is. I have great respect for him.
I think the first time when we really got to meet Danny and Kevin was a couple of years back at All Around when you guys had him in Milwaukee.
Yes.
And you went to go see him, and I went to go talk to Danny about something, but he was so busy. The line was crazy. So we were all staying in the same hotel. and my voice was gone from being there all day. You know how it goes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think it was about 11:30, and I was in the cooler grabbing a glass of water, and all of a sudden he hits me in the back, and he's like, "John," and I turn around and there's Danny, and I'm like, "How do you remember my name?" Like, I mean, but Bruce at the Whirl Wheels up there.
Right.
So him and Kevin were there, and he goes, "Hey man," he goes, "I didn't mean to get talking to you, whatever." And I'm like, goes out of his way to make sure everybody is pleased. He is a great guy.
I have so much respect for Danny. You know, he's a wonderful, wonderful guy.
Yeah, he deserves all the accolades he's got.
You bet he does. You bet he does. And I once said to him a long time ago, what do you like most? He says, "I love playing in the band." He loves singing and being the lead singer of his band. And
we actually got the opportunities. I've seen him a couple times, and he played at one of our shows in Wisconsin. And that man loves that music.
He loves the cars. He loves it.
And I tell you what, we had him in West Bend, Wisconsin. We did a show, and we had him up there for one of our Motor Mania events. And he played that, and we got him to go play on the amphitheater. We were in our fairgrounds in West Bend, Wisconsin. It's got a great amphitheater. It's great. So he went out there, and he saw the hill, and he saw the whole big crowd, and he goes, "I don't think I've ever played at a place this big before." And I said, "Well, it's all you." He was so in awe with that place.
He would be. Sure he would. And sincere.
Oh, and the back band, we got him a back band. He played it ringing that weekend. He wouldn't stop going.
No.
He just wanted to. And his voice, man, is that guy got a voice? And like the history of that guy too, with him starting out with Elvira and all this stuff, and Midnight Madness and all the stuff, the horror stuff, and being
him and his dad owned a TV station, and he would be in a coffin, and he was the Count. I mean, that's how he started. Showing these B movies and stuff. And
yeah, it was great.
And then I don't know, one of the networks came and bought the station, gave him a whole boatload of money, and they bought the station.
So they bought the station. It's really great to see all these guys and how they've all come over all the years and stuff like that.
You bet.
And now, so here in Kansas, what celebrity do we have this weekend again?
Yeah, we have Noel G. He played Hector in Fast and Furious 1 and 7. He's been in we talked about.
Yeah,
he's been in so many TV shows and movies, and he just does a lot of, and he'll come in. Now we have him scheduled from 1 to 4.
Yeah, you were just telling me about this.
And last time we had him scheduled 1 to 4, he came in at 9:30 and started at 10 and worked till 7. I mean, the only time he left the stage was to go to the men's room.
Those are the great guys you like to be with,
And he always had people because he's so well known.
Yeah,
because of all the things he's done.
And you said he's a great guy to talk.
He's a wonderful. Yeah. You'll see.
He's in the corner.
Up to him. You'll see. He's a wonderful guy. Wonderful guy.
Yeah, he seems. From everybody who's known him, and I told some people who he was, and I always like the people that don't do their research because they said, "Oh, like I see some of the stuff on, we watch the social media and the comments," and I was like, "Well, who cares about that guy? He's in one of the movies." And I'm like, that's not the only thing he's known for.
A good host will do the research. So when they sit down, they can ask.
Bingo, right?
They can ask the question. So one time, this is a great story. I'm with Ben Jones. Now his wife manages him and Catherine.
Yeah.
And John's pretty much on his own, but the Duke.
For all you fans out there, that is Scooter from Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah, Ben Jones is Scooter.
We know it off by the back of our hand. But
Ben Scooter from the Dukes. So I had him set up. For a live TV interview. It was a phone in, but it was a TV interview.
Okay.
So he was there for an hour. So there's the only ones in the studio are Ben and the host, his wife and I. And so the host, was going through all the things, and he said, "I understand you were in the Georgia Senate." He says, "I was." And he said, "How long were you there for?" He says, 2 terms. He says, "Why did you leave?" He says, "Due to health reasons. The voters got sick of me." So his wife, God love her, starts laughing. Hey, she's heard that 1,000 times.
Sure, that's a good reason. Yeah, that's pretty neat. Yeah.
But the host did his research, and that's if you have someone, you do the research, and if you don't, you talk before and you make some notes. And
you make some notes and something even on the fly with what we're doing.
Right.
I at least do it, like after we're done here, you and I are going to go around and check out some neat cars and what we're doing and whoever, and we do the research because it's so neat hearing their history. I mean, I walked in before, and Austin and I, and my drivers and everything walked in, and we're just kind of going through. And the first thing I noticed is because I'm an 80s, I'm a 90s kid, so I saw a Pro Street Buick there. And I told these guys, I'm like, hey, I said, wow, that car that was on the cover of CarCraft magazine back in the 90s. And the guy who's wiping the car down, he goes, "What did you say?" And I said, "That car you got there." I said, "That was on the cover of CarCraft Nationals." And he said, "The Pro Street, the Summer Nationals." I said, "I saw it there," and whatever like that. And he's like, nobody knows the history of this car. Nobody knows where it's been. He goes, you came in here and you said that right away.
Wow.
And I said, well, the 90s, 80s, and 90s was a big Pro Street era, remember?
Sure was.
They were Pro Streeting everything. And I said, so what they Pro Street? They had 55 Chevy, everything they get their hands on. But in the end, there was so much of it, they started doing oddball stuff.
Right.
So they started coming up with the new cars, the Berettas and all that stuff. And I told him the whole story. And he's sitting there going, and I'm like, and Austin goes, yeah, for some reason, he's got all this in his head. I'm like, it stuck with me because we didn't have the internet. We had magazines.
Right. Exactly.
So we kept the magazines.
Exactly right. Exactly
and we kept the magazines for years. And I still got them. And, so I really see, where do you think, I mean, what is the biggest change you think you've seen in 30 years of this thing?
The biggest change, it's simple.
Yeah.
25 years ago, we're running bikini contests. We were using Playboy Playmates were our features, and Playboy magazine was super hot at the time.
I miss those days so much.
Don't we all? So, as things started to change, I wanted to run a bikini contest in this show, and I had that I was managing, and I had a radio station and a newspaper that were sponsors, and they said, and now it was a beer company that was Budweiser. They said the media won't touch this because things were starting to change.
Yeah,
for the better, I would say, because now we have a lot of pinup girl contests, and a girl can be a size 2 or size 10. It doesn't matter. They spend all day doing their makeup, doing their. I mean, it's so darn wonderful.
And a lot of my friends. So funny you said the pinup contest. Because it goes from one side to the other. We've got a rockabilly or however you want to say it, that style of a culture.
Yes.
A lot of great shows up by us. That do stuff. There's a great show up by us, Simcoe and all stuff. So, and then they see the pinup contest down there. We've got a lot of great friends like, Murpho's is a friend of ours, Custom Clutch. He's doing a down in Texas for you guys. They're doing a Chop Top Shop and everything down there. So, and you go through and they see those girls down there. And then, like you said, it doesn't matter. These pinup contests, they can either be a Playboy model or they can be somebody's grandma up there and they're still.
It doesn't matter.
And I'm like, so at first, of course, the other guys, well, who wants to look at that and do whatever like that? I'm like, it's okay. Yes, did we grow up with the Catherine Box and the Heather Thomases and all that stuff? And like you said, the T-shirt contest and the bikini contest. And yes, times have changed. Times have changed, and we made it all work. So
growing up, I had a crush on Catherine Bach. I mean, Daisy Duke. I mean, she was wonderful.
I tell her that every time I see her.
and all the girls had a crush on John.
Oh, I mean, it's so funny. Jess, my girl, she always said, she goes, we were working John. She goes, I get to hang out with him, and I said, oh yeah, definitely. He's such a great.
John Schneider's the salt of the earth. I know John very well, and I've worked with him for 25 years, probably off and on.
He's another one. He will just talk to you no matter what.
Oh gosh, he's just a regular guy.
Yeah, and I mean, I haven't been out the last time I went out to Duke Fest a long time ago, but he will just talk to you and take you do whatever, and it's just great. I mean, he's just a really great guy.
Well, I'm gonna go. This has got to be at least 20 some years ago. So I was working on a show in Louisville, Kentucky, which at that time was the third largest indoor show in North America, and I was co-managing. And we had John there, and they had a Duke's car, and the car, my loaner vehicle was an A-Team van. Remember the TV show, The A-Team? So
I have the whole toy collection in my shop.
So they made a bunch of promo vehicles, but they all had real guns. So what they were, like the machine guns and the shotguns, they were real guns. They weren't plastic, but they drilled out the firing pins.
Okay, sure.
So, but they were real. So anyway, I had a former A-Team van. It was painted gray, and that was my driving vehicle. So they said, have you ever trailered a car? And I said, yes. They said, we can, because the show was at the Kentucky State Fairgrounds, was on the other side of the city from the office. So I got the General Lee on a trailer. I drive across the city. We unload it. I drive back. So let me get this. So you're driving the van with General Lee behind? No, I'm driving a truck. So
okay. I'm like, how cool would that be?
You'll see where this ties
together.
Okay,
go ahead.
So I drive the General Lee across the city, Canadian, right?
Yeah.
And I drop it, and I come back. So a couple of days later, we're talking. I said, now, where are the guns? Are they locked in a safe? They said, no, they're in the trunk of the General Lee. I said, he said, no, the guns from two of the vans are in the trunk of the General Lee. I said, I trailered that thing across the city. I mean,
with all the guns in the trunk.
If that had popped open, I'd still be in jail. I mean,
See the things they make you do. They think you're going to get away with it. You know,
It was just another day to them. It was not a big deal. So, but John has been so great to work with. He's worked with us a lot. Bo Duke, who's done a lot of shows with us, and he's a wonderful, wonderful guy. And the Dukes are great to work with, as you know.
I've had so much fun with them, and no matter what, and like we were just talking about the reminiscing of what we have going on this weekend and this season here, what we're doing would bring Evel Knievel the 50th anniversary of what he did of the jump and everything. But it is so funny to me. Like we talk about the Dukes, and I talked about it with John before. I talked about Catherine when I seen him. I said, "Did you ever think this was ever going to happen?" And they said they were supposed to get canceled in the first season because nobody watched it. And here, 1979, it's the most iconic TV show ever.
I mean, the Dukes fans are lined up forever to get still. No, it's wonderful, wonderful.
We go through. Jessica and I just went down to we went down to Gatlinburg and down there and Pigeon Forge, and they've got the museums down there.
Yes.
And still to this day, people go through there and they'll spend $500, $1,000 on the same stuff we were buying when we were kids.
Yeah.
And I mean, I walked out. I bought a 118th Cooters tow truck, and he signed it for me and sent it up. It's in my showcase. I still bought stuff. You know,
Ben is a wonderful guy. When the last time I saw him, we were at the hotel, and the show was across the street, and we're talking politics. He had a bad knee, so he said, "Can I put my arm around you?" He said, "Of course." I said, "We can get the car, and we have to go all the way around the lake." He said, "No, let's just walk." So we walked, and he had his arm around me. We were talking about one thing and another, about American politics.
Sure.
And
big subject.
Big subject. And this is 5 or 6 years ago. We walk into the show, and we're just talking like you and I are chatting, and the door's open, and he says, "Hey, y'all." He turns into Cooter. He's an actor.
He's an actor.
He's a wonderful guy.
He is. You know, some of those guys that go through and do it, like we were just saying, the Horny Mikes, the Coopers, the Schneiders, and all this stuff, they are so good at what they do. And then these people want to know why they've been around for 50 years, how long, the celebrity. It's because of that. They're so good to their fan base and their followers, and they respond back.
Exactly.
And I still remember, like I think my dad must have been 80, 81, whenever you guys had the Dukes on the very first time we went through. And it was all three of them. I still have the picture somewhere, and a lot of people call me crazy for this, but I still have the picture. It was Bo and Luke and Daisy. It was in the picture, all of them together, and she had the hat on. That was your World of Wheels picture for that year. And I don't know if it was 81. I still have that picture.
Wow.
Those three were so personable and so talkative.
Yeah.
And they were in character the whole time, and it was great no matter where they went. And even I got to see Catherine again. Oh, I think this is about 15 years ago. I was doing a booth for my company, and she came through. We got to see her the night before. She came through on that Sunday, and I came through and I showed her stuff, and she goes, it melts my heart every time somebody says, she goes, it makes me know my age.
Right.
She goes, but when somebody shows me the picture that they had of a kid when they saw me, and I said, and I always joke with her. I said, well, you were my first crush. I said, of course. And I'm my first love. I said, Carrie Fisher was pretty close in '84 in Return of the Jedi when she had the swimsuit. I said, but you're always hands down.
All the baby boomer guys were in love with Catherine.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and to be able to work with her back then, I mean, and get to meet her was a big deal.
It was. I mean, she
I think the world. I like Catherine a lot.
She's a very personal person, no matter what.
Wonderful, and she loves her fans, and she'll take the time. She's not gonna if she's signing, she doesn't care. She'll take time to talk to you and.
The other thing we're talking about, even we know the world has changed with this social media giant that we have going on. We always talk about what we're doing, and if you'd asked me, when I was a kid, if I'd ever be sitting here, 40 years later doing a podcast with the guys that do this stuff and celebrating, it's great, and I feel honored and privileged what I've been blessed with. Now, these days with these celebrities that are still around doing this stuff, if you make a post or hashtag these guys in there that we do for our media, it is so great to me that if I put in Horny Mike's name or Ryan Evans' name or John Schneider and somebody's talking about it, I'll respond and I'll say, hey, these guys are at the shop. Are you guys there? And I'll put them in there. They'll respond back on my feed. And it's so great because they don't have to do that.
No, they don't.
They don't have to do that, but it makes them see like, wow, these guys, or do whatever. And that's what makes them set. That's why I love what we do, because it's just so much fun for me and doing it all.
I'm thankful every day. I mean, I've lived a blessed life. And I still continue, and I'm gonna continue.
I don't think I see any ounce of you slowing down or stopping this.
Mike,
I see the excitement in your face.
I love it.
I can see the look on your face, and you're like me when people talk to me about doing. We haven't even touched base. The reason why I'm even here doing this thing, but I mean, I see the excitement on every person you've talked about so far. It's probably the same excitement you had 30 years ago doing this stuff.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And here we are with a tribute to Evel Knievel, the greatest stuntman ever. I mean, this guy, he probably broke every bone in his body at one time or another. I mean,
we have some T-shirts back there, and yes, this is the reason why we got involved with you this year on a greater level, more than I've ever had before. And again, thank you very, very much for everybody for inviting us on this tour with you and doing whatever. And the Knievel family, what we're doing, we have. This year marks the 50th anniversary of the most iconic jump in history, the Snake River Canyon jump that
we
Evel
all
did.
remember that.
And it was the wide world of sports is what we did. So we put this together with the Knievel family. So I have an amazing team and network of people that I work with that are part of my company. And they put this together and they asked me if I did it. And I was speechless when they told me this. Of course, I still have all the toys. Anybody who's been to my shop, seen any videos that we do, I have it all. So when I went to go to Steve Darnell's with Welder Up, and you worked with him before.
I know. Steve and I, Steve is actually someone I call a friend. There's a show I'm involved with.
I can text him. He'll get back to you. He's like, and he'll say he's sorry too. That's the best part.
He'll get back to you, but it might not be right away.
No, it's a week later usually.
So he treats us all equal. There's a show in the middle of July in Canada, in Eastern Canada, which I'm on the committee, and Steve's going to be there with Barbara Dave and probably his sister Don Lee. I think is going to come too.
Oh, he is such a great guy, and a lot of people think, again, these shows that you see on TV, these guys have to work. That's their shop. That's their business. Everybody we've been to. So when I went to go do this, and a lot of people are like, how did this all come together? We just kind of showed them what we were going to do to kind of, bring Evel's thing back and do some work for him. And I went to go pick this up. Everybody knows it was sitting at Darnell's shop.
Yeah.
And, most people are like, oh, just go put it in the truck, go do whatever. And I said, no, you're going to give me, the toy that I played with, you're going to let me pick this up and go to over. So I flew out there, drove it across country and took it over to Dave Shutton's shop, which, we talked about before too. So, but when I got there, Steve could have just set it outside and said, pick it up.
Yeah.
No, Steve met me there 11 o'clock in the morning. And usually these guys don't get there till between 10 and noon because they're working.
Yeah.
He showed up. He lowered it with me. He talked to me about Evel, how great it was with me. Spent the whole morning with me. And he didn't have to do that. He could have just said, okay, doing whatever. Does he know me personally? No. He might remember me from the show, but I'm not going to say I know him on that well basis. But he was so great, loaded it all up. And that guy's amazing on what he builds.
What an imagination. I mean, he's a fantastic artist. Whenever I've been going to see him. I've been going to see him for 35 or 40 years.
Yeah.
But I usually go for 10, 12 days.
Yeah.
So one night I'll have dinner with Steve, just him and I.
Yeah. Okay.
And just chat about stuff. So this year, I walked over. I don't know if you've ever been to the Peppermill restaurant in Las Vegas, but it's the 60s. It's all velour and neon. It's such a cool restaurant.
Is it the one with the wraparound booths in it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
right. It's almost across the street from Circus. It's that end of Las Vegas.
I know exactly what you're talking about. So when I was up by Danny,
that's right. Just 5 minutes from Danny's shop.
That's what it took me to do. I was like, wait a minute, I've been there. That when I did a little filming with Danny.
Did you go in the back where the bar is with the sunken bar? What a 60s place.
So that we went back there, and as soon as I got there, again, those guys are so personable. They had to give me the whole tour of it.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great place. So we met. So I walked there from the hotel I was staying at, and he said, "What are you gonna do? Are you gonna walk down?" I said, or do you want to ride back? I said, yeah, ride back would be good. Well, he had his 55, his Ghost 55.
Yeah.
So, and it's things like, I don't know, 700 or 800 horsepower.
Oh, yeah.
1,000 horsepower.
Yeah, 1,000 horsepower.
So we get that thing, and we pull out on Las Vegas Boulevard. He puts his foot into it twice. It's all over the place. I thought this is pretty cool stuff. That was the night before I went home. So
yeah,
I like Steve a lot. I think the world of him.
He is just such a great guy.
He's just a wonderful guy all the way around.
And we went back again, like a month later, because I didn't have big enough truck. We went back and picked up the dragster, and he's the one who got it running and all his stuff. And I mean, the guy is just the greatest accolade ever. So when we went there, and he's like, well, I got to get this stuff ready because the last time I picked it up was right before SEMA, and he had to get ready for SEMA. So he's doing everything. And he's like, John, I got to get going. So I did not want to bother him at all. And I said, and he kept coming back by me. He's like, yeah, so what do you think about this? And then we talked by my truck and did a little interview and by my Penske truck and everything like that. He was just such a great guy to talk to. And then most people he won't let in the shop. And he's like, well, just come in here. I'm in here talking. So
most people don't get into the shop in the back.
So I did a little video with him. We were laughing one day. And when I was in there, and he's got all these cans of Rust-Oleum. He went and got them from Home Depot, right? And he's painting the bottom of this truck. So I told him, I said, should we make a video? He's like, yeah, go ahead, do whatever you want. So we make this video. So Steve's got his glasses on. He's underneath the truck and he's spray painting. So I did the video and I said, hey, everybody, I just want to let you know that just because he's, because he's a Mr. Movie star over here. I said he's over here. I said he uses the same spray paint that I do at my, and then Steve's on. He goes, it's just the old man with the old truck spray paint. And he goes, now I'm 50, I'm old, and he goes, and nobody gives a shit. He goes, because I'm not a girl in a bikini anymore, and whatever. But he's just a great guy.
He really is.
I had a lot of fun with him. Yeah, he's a great guy. Yeah. The now with going on with those guys that you got with there tomorrow. Now you touched base early on that you were part of the judging thing.
Well, that's what I started when I started judging, and next thing, I mean, I still worked a full-time job, and then I would take Friday afternoon off, go to the airport, fly in, judge, fly back early Monday morning, go to work, and so on, and did for a long time, and then things just evolved. So I retired from my full-time job, which I had a lot of time off, was wonderful, and it was a government job. I retired early because they were going to make. I had taken a lot of time off without pay, and they said, why do we even pay this guy? He's never here. So I was going to have to go back to work full time. So I said no, and I retired early. So I have a government pension, a reduced government pension, which pays my bills. And this, the other things I do pay for my fun and my cars, and
that's what it's supposed to be like, right?
So I'm very, very blessed.
Yeah, and that's how you say.
Thankful every day.
And you've got a lot of great guys around you. I mean, Pete is a great guy.
Pete
you've known Pete for a long time.
He's my closest friend. He's brilliant.
That is so great.
And sometimes he'll come up with something, and I'll say, I wish I'd thought of that. Now, Dale, during COVID, normally, especially with wrestlers or popular stars, people all be lined up. Dale said, why don't we give them wristbands? So you come back between 1 and 1:30 and you get in line. Just so you get a wristband at 11 o'clock and come back at 1 o'clock. You don't have to wait in line.
Very smart thing to do.
Well, I wish I had thought of that, but and I always credit Dale for that. But another thing we do, which was my idea, I put my name on all the celebrities' rooms. So tomorrow morning, I'll go to the front desk and I'll get a ski. I'll get an old ski. So when I pick them up at the airport, I'll hand them a ski. So when we get to the hotel, we always rent Suburbans. I'll walk them to the elevator, and they don't have to go to the front desk.
Now that's a good move.
That was a good idea. So we've all had good at, but Pete is just. I mean, he comes up with all these things, and I said, where did that come from? And there was times years ago, and I thought, I don't know. Most of the time it works, and if he says I'm going to do this, it's probably going to work, and it's
probably going to work.
It's going to work. He's really good at what he does.
He's normal. And again, we're talking about and you say it Tundis, right?
Pete Tundis, he owns our company. Yeah, and he manages most of the big shows.
Yeah, he manages most of, and he's been now with this doing 30 years. And Dale, I found out, was with him for 28 years now.
Yeah, Dale's been around a long time. Yeah.
So I cannot believe that people they just see big sponsors do whatever, and they see big corporate. But you guys have been doing this together for all these years, almost 30 years together.
A long time.
And doing this stuff. And that is why the success of the show is because a lot of people, you come down to Kansas City, you go to Chicago, you go to Detroit, and the shows are monstrous. Now, we've got Milwaukee by us, and there's always sometimes there's a complaint, sometimes there's not. Oh, there's the same cars, blah, blah. The show is so small, it went there. And, you look at the numbers, but you guys, it takes the community to keep it going really good.
Right.
You can sit there and complain about it, but why don't you do something to help out and do everything? That's what
I worked the Milwaukee show. I was the judging supervisor there, and I judged for a lot of years. I did promotions and public relations for a lot of years. I probably worked that show for 20 years.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
so I'm very familiar with it.
You're very familiar with it, yeah. And I mean, and that's the one where Bruce runs that one up.
Bruce is our show chairman.
Yeah, show chairman up there.
He's a great guy.
Oh my gosh, I've known Bruce for years now. Him and I talk. So we buy and sell hot rods because he's we're all car guys, so we stuff. He's over in Minnesota over there, so he's a great guy. But all these guys make it work, and the show that's here now. This one I really noticed. Well, obviously because of the size of this building, I had no idea the size of this when I walked in. I seen it online.
This is a gigantic building.
I went over there, and then of course I come in the main door. I'm like, oh, where are we setting up? And he's like, all the way down there.
All the way down there.
So you guys got us. I like it that we're on the main stage, but I didn't know it was on the other end of the building. But anyway, so we go there. But the way you have it set up, I mean, even this building is so huge. The cones that come in, they set up as a driveway. Everybody there, the cones come in, and you actually do a drive-through to get your paperwork, and then you go, and then you come all the way through, and then you drive out the other cones. You guys have this really set up.
They've got a really good setup here, and it works well. And what they do there, so that if you're coming, they'll give you, okay, you're moving in Thursday from 3:30 to 4:30 or 3:30 to 5. So you have a time when you come in, so there's not a monster lineup outside. So it's very well organized.
And now the only thing I've ever known is because most of the time when I'm doing the shows, we got a pretty good display of something like this magnitude,
Of course.
So I always try to get here on a Wednesday. and I get some people that are new helping me out or don't really know the demographics of the show, how the setup goes. So I told everybody, I said, yeah, I got to be in Kansas City on Wednesday. They said, well, the show's not till Friday, but you have to set up. And I said, yeah, we got to set up. And they said, well, why don't you just do it Thursday? I said, have you ever been to a show this size before? If you don't do this and you're not there on that Wednesday morning, you will never get a full. I mean, we came in here, we had 3 trailers, a 48-foot enclosed and 2 30-footers, including the media trailer. And I said, where do you think you're going to turn that around? Because once they start filling in those spots,
you start filling up the show, you're going to have a hard time getting through with those. Yeah,
so exactly now we had 2 new drivers with us this year, and they realized it. They were like, yeah, we agree with you. Yeah. I said, so now Thursday, you guys got to screw off and hang out at the hotel. So yeah, you're welcome. So
fantastic.
So well, what do you think? Should we
let's go walk and look at some
let's go walk and look at some cars. I'm real serious to see. We never even got to say it before, but I want to go check out some Batmobiles. I should keep
the Batmobiles. I mean, that Pete's idea. John, who owns all 5 of them.
Yeah.
They worked a long time to make this happen, and it's a big deal.
It's a really big deal.
It's a big deal for us.
So for anybody that's listening here, again, we're going to be here all weekend long. World of Wheels kicks off on Friday.
Friday, 3 to 9. 10 to 9 on Saturday, 10 to 6 on Sunday. And we also have an FMX motorcycle stunt show, which will be down at the other end.
Yes, we do. I was going to say the stunt show.
So they jump from ramp to ramp, do somersaults in the air. So it's
that's actually a motorcycle show.
It's a motorcycle.
Oh,
show.
That'll be great.
We got a motorcycle show.
My guys
we have
love
the
that.
Batmobiles. We have the tribute to Evel Knievel. I mean, we have so much going on here. And we have a Tesla Cybertruck.
We did see, now Austin did see the Tesla truck. And again, thank you very, very much for Pete, you guys, Larry, Dale, everybody for inviting us down for this great circuit. We'll be with you for 5 shows, actually, we get to do. We're trying to do more. So we've got all Evils display vehicles down here. We've got the E2 Rocket, the Dragster, and the Jet Cycle. Some of the things the Dragster and the E2 Rocket, the Jet Cycle's never been seen before. So it's some pretty neat stuff. I see a lot of people still looking at stuff. It's a lot of fun. So let's go take a look at some Batmobiles, some great stuff. And I've got I got to look at the paint on that Riviera. I'm trying to look at it. It keeps glaring off there.
So on behalf of Championship Auto Shows, thank you for having us on. It's very appreciated.
Thank you and you're welcome. And thank you again for having me as a childhood fan of growing up in this show from the 70s and now being part of it. I am just honored beyond belief. So thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. All right, Austin, let's go look at some cars.
All right, everybody, we're still here. 64th Annual World of Wheels, Kansas City, Missouri, with our good buddy Larry.
Giant show. We got everything here, but we've got a lot of really cool lowriders. And look at this car. Look at the
This
paint.
is the one when
look
we were
at the paint on this car.
When we were just doing the podcast over there, I was trying to listen to you, but this kept.
I saw you looking away.
Oh yeah,
so what the heck's wrong with him?
Well, I didn't want to look at you. Look at this. I mean, this
find
is
a
great.
better deal.
This is great.
I mean, when we look at this, look at that. Look on the side where that's blended into the paint. But all this, that just doesn't go on. That's coats and coats and coats to make all that work. Now look at the dash. Look at how it goes through and follows into the dash.
Everywhere. A lot of people didn't realize that. Now, people don't understand the magnitude of the painting that goes on because everybody's so used to a vinyl wrap these days. This is still going on to
hours
this day.
and hours and hours. Now, if you took this stock Riviera and said, I want this paint, and you paid retail for it, you're looking at $25,000.
All day long for this stuff.
Just to do the paint work.
Just to do the paint work on it. And people don't understand this. Now, this culture is still so very large.
Huge.
People thought it was dying out.
Huge.
I came down here, and I'll admit, I'll admit when I'm wrong. When I go through, I didn't think this culture was this big yet down here. This is the majority of the show.
There are pockets of the country, in different parts of the country where it's huge, where we have these huge.
Yeah.
It's mainly Hispanic, but it's not just Hispanic, but where there's a strong Hispanic population, we have a lot of lowriders.
And
it's wonderful.
You and I were just talking about before, how this all formed before with the Cheech and Chong thing, how I learned it because I'm a 70s, 80s kid, so when it came through. But so many of these cars, the demographic, I mean, you still got a lot of Impalas, there's El Caminos, everything, Monte Carlos. They're doing it to everything down here.
Any car.
And the dancing that you were just talking about when it was starting on fire, when you were just watching.
I mean, they're bouncing these cars, and a hydraulic line will break. It'll catch on fire. The fans go crazy. Now you've got to have obviously fire extinguishers and put it out and stuff. But it's great fun.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, these cars. Come on down here this weekend to see all these cars. And again, this is just a small portion of it. This building is so huge, it's unbelievable.
We're probably going to have I don't know, 600-700 vehicles on the floor.
On the floor?
So that's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. And this
and a good
group,
cross section of stuff. We have a cavalcade of customs up here, which will
I
have
can't wait till
probably
we get to go
about
there next.
maybe 15, 16
yeah.
like chopped Mercs and things, real pure custom cars. So it's we have a little bit of everything.
Well, let's go check that out next. How about that?
That's fantastic.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
All right, we are at your good buddy's place here. We're at the Cavalcade of Customs, and who puts this on for you?
This is the Cavalcade of Customs display. Jack Walker. He's been a friend of Championship Auto Shows. He worked for us. He drove tractor trailer trucking feature cars, but he's also been engrossed in the custom car world for a very long time. He has his own cars, and what he does, these are guys that he knows, guys and gals that they come from all over the country. Just this is the only show they do. They come here, and it's a camaraderie. They'll come here at their own expense. Now they may stay with friends here and so on, and they get a jacket. But that's to these people, it's $1 million.
That's a passion,
because they're part of Jack Walker's Cavalcade of Customs.
So all Jack invites all his buddy on an invite, and it's not about the money. It's not about that. They come here for
they
a
come
jacket
here
to
for
be
Jack,
part of his club.
and be part of this, and to be with Jack. And I mean these cars, and he handpicks them. I mean, they're all
these are
they're all
amazing.
highly, highly modified. I mean, this car, this French headlights. The headlights are extended. The top's chopped. There's a lot of stainless and chrome on these cars. There's not much. If you look, it's got kind of a ghost.
I see the ghost lace in there.
The ghost lace on the hood. There's a lot of metal flake in the roof and the paint. I mean, every car is like this.
And you would say these are, for the people that never really seen these cars before, this is your typical 60s, 70s hot rod, when everybody's chopping tops and
that's exactly right.
And lace paint and everything, right?
This would be something from the 60s and 70s that were really popular back then.
Right. And still to this day, as you can see, it's popular. We've got a showcase
it's a whole
of
culture.
60.
It's a whole culture.
And
now,
it still goes on to this day. And they're still building them out in LA and I mean all over the place. People are still doing this
now,
stuff.
chopped cars are so cool. I have one.
Yeah.
But you don't see traffic. You pull up to a light. You got to go. You can't see out of them.
There's a lot of them in here. Like, I see a lot of the chopped
You have a
tops.
hard time. You have a hard
Yeah.
time seeing. You still bonk your head getting in because you forget, right?
But it's the definition of cool.
It is so cool. Now, okay, you remember Ford Mavericks?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
they were throwaway cars.
I've had a couple of those. I think I threw away one 2 years ago at my shop. But yeah.
I have a 71 four-door Maverick, chopped 4 inches. The front and back windows were laid down. The A pillar, which is by the windshield, the C pillar, which is by the back window, have been widened, so the car looks bigger than it actually is, and it's only about this size.
Yeah, Mavericks are a little small.
It's an incredible car.
Who would chop a four-door, a Maverick and a
Who
four-door?
would chop a bloody four-door Maverick? With this guy, Pat Keating, in Louisville, Kentucky, he chopped all kinds of 32, 34 square cars.
Yeah.
Somebody said, why don't you cut a difficult car? So with all this was his grandfather's car, and he cut it. And the doors closed, the windows roll up and down, an incredible amount of work. I bought it from him, and it had the original 6-cylinder, and we put in a Mustang GT 5-liter with fuel injection. And when it was done, we painted it black. It was in 6 magazines. It's a really cool car. I've had it for 20. I've had it for 20 years, and it's got an AOD transmission, an overdrive transmission. Fast. I mean, it's light as a feather. Fast at low speed, fast at high speed. Really sharp. But so it's this kind of car. But this is a whole culture.
And again, here at the 64th Annual World of Wheels here in Kansas City, there is so much to see here. I mean, we just came from all the way down there here, and we're over a quarter mile long of cars.
This building's more than a quarter of a mile long, and there's hundreds and hundreds of cars. And you know what? Let's go look at some Batmobiles.
That's what I want to go see. I'm with you. All right, we're here where you want to take me. So this is it.
This is the 1966 Batmobile. Now, they only used one Batmobile in the movie. George Barris, who was the builder, the king of the customizers, George did 3. This is the number 3 car.
This is the original number 3 car.
It was not used in the show, but George did build this car.
Okay.
So this is a genuine Batmobile, but it was not used in the show, but George did build it.
Okay. And as everybody remembers, Batman premiered in 1966. Adam West, Burt Ward, Batman and Robin. It changed this superhero world forever.
It ran for 2 years. I mean, it was not a lot. And look at today. Look at this whole Batman thing, how it exploded.
We've been talking about how small these shows were only on for 2 episodes. And Batman, here we are, 60 years later, and look at what we have.
And we got all this.
And we got all that.
This was a a Lincoln Futura was what it was built on.
Based off Ford Lincoln Futura, right?
Built, and then George had a short time to do it, and he modified it, and the shop got it out.
It's amazing to me how short they would give him.
They gave very little time, and he made it happen. And look at what it's turned into
and
today.
It's still iconic. And everybody wants one. Fiberglass Freaks remakes these cars. So we've got this one, and we've got 5 of these here.
All 5 of them are here. It's fantastic. Let's go check out.
The next one from the movie car. Now this is the one that I know very well. Michael Keaton's comeback. I'm Batman, the best one who ever made a scene. So tell us all about it.
This car was designed in England. So there was a design team in England built this car, shipped it over here, and they wanted 5 cars for the movie. So Hollywood Productions got the contract, and they built 5 more. Actually, they built 28 more.
28 more.
But they built 4 of them for the movie. So there was the original one that was sent from England, and four other ones. This was the number 5 car. This was actually in the.
So this is again a original movie car.
Original movie car.
Okay.
But they built a whole lot of promo cars. But this was so wild when it came out, because compared to this.
Well, you went from this to this. There was a lot of controversy when this came out. We followed this very strictly. When this came out, from that to this, with the jet and everything going on the back, and the sliding roof and everything, people loved it or hated it. That's how it started. And now it's one of the most iconic movie cars ever.
They say, oh, they ruined the Batmobile. I would say the TV car is the most popular. This is, of all the 5, I think probably the TV car is the most popular. This would be the number 2. Of all the movie cars, this is the most popular.
Yeah, this is one of the most talked about movie cars still this era, because they took it from the standard wings to the bat wing that it has today.
Exactly.
So we've got this, and let's keep going.
Speaking of wings, look at the wing on this baby.
Let's check out the wing on that thing. That stands out no matter what. The biggest wing bat here that we have, Val Kilmer's car. Tell me about it. This is one of the fastest ones produced, correct?
So look at the wing on this. This is just a wild car, and it lights up blue.
It's a cartoon in itself. It's a superhero car.
Exactly right. Now, what they did, the producers and the director wanted a car to go fast. It's television. You can make anything go fast. No, they wanted it to go fast.
Not just on the movie, like in actual reality fast.
So they had a race shop build a race engine for this car. So it's got a Chevy race engine. It's a hand-built frame, and this car is fast. Now, Val Kilmer toured for 2 years doing shows with this car.
Okay.
Just going
doing the
from
circuit,
show to show,
promoting
shows. And these cars have all been shown one time or another, but these 5 cars have never been together.
Again, another epic moment here at the 64th annual World of Wheels here in Kansas City. We're kicking off. We have epic things here. First time ever to see all 5 Batmobiles in one display.
One thing we should mention, we'd encourage, we're the O'Reilly Auto Parts World of Wheels. We would encourage people to go to their local O'Reilly Auto Parts store and get discount tickets. So help pay for your parking and come on down and see all these great Batmobiles.
Yeah, and let's keep going, because you've got one of the best ones yet. I love the one that crashes through the walls. I love this one over here. Now we are at one of the most iconic ones I love. They call it, the nickname is the Tumbler, right?
Now the reason they call it the Tumbler was, if this vehicle hit a landmine or got shot in battle and rolled, it would tumble and roll. The way it was designed, it would roll back and land on its wheels and keep going. So that's why it's called a tumbler.
So that is where it came from, because
it can roll and continue into battle.
And I was just talking to you before that, because in a famous scene in the movie where the Joker takes them all out and takes them with the rope, and then out of nowhere, the semi, or when the semi goes through, the motorcycle comes flying out of the middle of it.
Exactly.
And it had the same size tires as the car.
Right.
It was just an epic moment. It was
fantastic.
Yeah.
Now this, as you can see, it looks like a tank or like a military vehicle.
Yeah.
You can't really see out of it, so it's got all kinds of cameras. So you drive it. It does drive. They drove it into the display.
They did drove it in a display, right? That's what I thought we saw it earlier.
So you look at the cameras, and so you're not actually looking outside. You're looking at the cameras.
Okay.
The cameras are showing you where to drive.
We were just talking about now there's 5. We have one more to go after this. Each one of those started in 1966 with Barris's creation. All these keep getting bigger, and they're set up for war every single time. Where Batman was just a funny thing we watched on the superhero, and now it's like
every time it just gets bigger and bigger.
It gets bigger and bigger, and the superheroes are getting more and more powerful. Which brings us to the last one. Last but not least, one of the biggest, most iconic, the Justice League Batmobile.
This is the biggest Batmobile. Look at this monster.
It is. It's a race. It's war. It's Batman on steroids.
Now these rear tires were from when they built this car. The producer wanted the biggest possible tires they could get. These are Israeli tractor tires. So they
That's
went
what
to
you're saying,
Israel,
how big they
got
are.
the tires.
Yeah.
Those tires weigh 500 pounds each. Just the tire, not the wheel, just the tire.
Just
so
the
what
tires.
they did, they molded, they took the tires, made molds, and they're plastic on this. It's just too heavy to transport.
Right, yeah, they
But
made the molds because they couldn't
this
transport.
This is what they wanted.
This is what they wanted.
This is an incredible car.
This is just, I mean, where do they even start? Like you said,
Where do you
again,
start? They build it a piece at when I was doing the research on it, they build it a piece at a time. They'd make a piece and put it together. I mean,
and then they would change it. I read the history on it.
And then
It
they
was
would
blowing
change
me
it.
away. What they go through. Now we go through before. We give people like George Barris, one of the biggest iconic hot rod builders in history. He was given what, less than a month's time to create the Batmobile, right? For the
Right.
first TV show in
Right.
1966. This, now they've planned this for years. This thing.
Exactly right.
And they were going through. They're making peace and going back and forth.
But how things have evolved since Gene Winfield and Barris and those guys,
Right.
Al Hines, all those guys, the pioneers of customizing.
Yeah.
To what they do today.
And
it's just
to
unbelievable.
go through, we go through with these guys that were drawing things out of cardboard templates, and now we've got 3D printers. I mean, the sky's the limit.
Exactly.
We're not
right.
ripping on any new hot rod builders there, but we're just saying this is the times have changed and the sky's the
They
limit.
sure have.
And
They have.
again, everybody get down here this weekend, Kansas City, Missouri, to see some of the most epic hot rods, trucks, motorcycles, and the Evel Knievel display, and the 5 Batmobiles are here. Get
We
down
got
here
it
the
all.
weekend. When does the show open up?
We're 3 to 9 on Friday, 10 to 9 on Saturday, 10 to 6 on Sunday.
10 to 6. Larry, thank you very much
Thank
for the tour.
you.
Get
Thank
back
you.
to work. You got to get going. I
I've
see
got
the
to
boss
actually
over
have
there.
to go back to work.
All right.